better take a mulligan. Yeah, yeah, I think I better take a mulligan. I put my ball in the pond again.
Welcome back to the Wicked Good Golf Show. I'm your host, Steve Scott. In the first segment, we were joined by Frank Vana Jr., and he's going to join us for the rest of the show as well. My co-host, Bomber, is under the weather. I hope you feel better, Bomber. We'll need you back soon. But you can join us every Saturday at 9:30 a.m., Sunday at 6:30 a.m. For the Wicked Good Golf TV show, as well as join us on the radio 7 to 8 a.m. on WCRN. And you can get us live, talk to us about the game of golf and everything else. So, as well as join our Facebook page, join our Twitter account, as well as our website, wickedgoodgolf.com. That's how you can get in touch with us all the time. Right now is our segment on the golf tip. Last week we talked about the hands and how the hands were so important. Bomber gave us a really great tip on that. But Frank, you're going to talk to us about breathing. And looking at breathing and then getting into some of the putting aspects as well, and get your feedback on the anchor putter and the rule change. It's going to come down. There's no doubt about it. It's already been decided. It's the implementation of that, how it's going to be implemented. So let's talk about breathing. How important is breathing to the game of golf?
Well, I mean, basically in golf, I mean, the most important thing that you can be is relaxed.
Sure.
And you know what? And if you're not breathing, you're not relaxing.
Right.
And it's something. I mean, it takes a while to figure out, and I kind of figured it out from doing yoga. And
really?
Yeah, I've been doing yoga now for, I don't know, 12 or 13 years, and just you have to know how to breathe when you're doing yoga. And I do the hot yoga, Bikram yoga, and I noticed, not so much from the workout standpoint, but just from the breathing standpoint, when I figured it out in yoga, and then as I began to play golf and tournament golf, I felt like I was more calm and kind of felt like I had something.
Right, that pressure that comes up.
And once I figured that out, it took a few years to figure it out, but once I figured it out, my golf game really began to improve. And,
wow, really?
From breathing, it just relaxes your whole body. You're under the gun, you're playing in a tournament, and the pressure's up there, and the easier you breathe, and the smoother it tends to go, and it calms your mind down, and
relaxes your grip on the club. I would imagine.
Yeah, it just gets all your big muscles relaxed, and you're able to be smooth and hit. And I imagine too. I mean, I can think of instances where I felt pretty relaxed, and my opponent looked a little stressed, and that's a good thing from my side of the coin, anyways. And so it's just something now that I pay attention to a lot when I play. And I think it helps a lot. And I think a lot of people, breathing's part of it, but just try and be as relaxed as you can. Breathing's a part of helping you relax, but the more relaxed you are, the more focused you are on the immediate shot or situation, the better off you're going to be.
So the frustrating swing after the bad swing is not a good thing?
Yeah, well,
throwing the club into the
occasionally you have to vent somehow sometimes, but
the guy throws the golf bag into the water and goes back and picks up his keys, and so he can drive home.
Right, exactly.
That's not good. Now it's interesting, just the idea of breathing. I could probably equate that to maybe shooting a foul shot in basketball, where you see guys taking that deep breath just to relax and calm yourself, because it is a stressful situation. If you've ever done it, you got everybody looking at you. It's like hitting that 2.5-foot putt to win a match.
Right.
You've got to be able to be calm in that situation. Take us through what you're thinking. When you've got to make a putt to win a match or win your local club championship or whatever it is. How do you go through that mental approach to being able to say, I've done this 100,000 times. I've made this putt. I don't know how many times in my sleep. I'm going to do it now.
Right. Well, I mean, the key to that, anybody who's played sports, any sport, at some point in time, whether through luck or practice, you get in the zone. And really, when you're in the zone, everything's in slow motion, and you're not really thinking, and it's happening. And you're out of your own way when that's happening, when you're in the zone. So you always want to be that way, but that's the hardest place to be.
Right.
And so, putting, for instance, I'm more of a field putter.
Okay.
So the more relaxed and more clear-headed I am at any point in time, the better I'm going to be if I'm going to let the field part happen. Okay. So I tend to see the line, look at the breaks and stuff, but then I tend to see the line, and then you need to trust that, and then the last thing you need to really worry about or think about is making the putt, that's the hardest thing. I mean, I wish I could do that all the time. You
Right.
know, I've had success at doing that a lot, but not all the time. But the key is just let it happen. And getting out of your own way is hard. So my routine is, you know, sometimes I take a practice stroke, sometimes I don't, but it's always light grip, it's a light breath, and then really I just try to let my mind go blank and just stroke it. And, you know, that when it works great. When it doesn't, you know, you make
So
less
the
putts.
mental side of your putt happens well before you actually physically hit the golf ball or hit the putt.
Right.
You're doing everything mentally, getting your line, getting your speed,
Right.
figuring all those things out, all
Yep.
the angles, everything else, well before that. And then all you're doing is just letting it happen.
Yeah, then just letting, hopefully the eye-hand coordination, if you just let that happen, it'll do its thing.
Right.
But, you know, there's a lot of things that can get in the way between
sure.
the eye-hand coordination, you know, and, you know, that's what we all battle as golfers.
So that's what makes putting such an equalizer in the game of golf at times, because you know you can hit the most terrible shot and then all of a sudden you can see that putt and you can
Oh,
make
yeah.
that putt happen.
Right.
Guy makes two great shots. He's left with a 5-footer, misses that putt,
Right.
and it's a par, right, you know,
Or a half.
and a half
Yeah, right.
of a hole. Let's talk about what's going on in the professional ranks, which is also going to be coming down into the amateur ranks as well too. And we're talking about anchored putters. Do you anchor your putter, or are you just a traditional putter?
Still a traditional putter.
Have you ever dabbled with the anchored putter or putting it on
I mean,
or belly putter or anything
I've
like that?
tried it. I've not practiced with it. I've taken it if someone's had it on the green or something and tried
Yeah.
it, but I've not spent any time doing it.
It doesn't feel
you know,
right?
I just don't know. I don't have the attraction to it really right now. I mean, I'm not one who changes equipment a lot. I've had a handful of putters my entire life.
Right.
So, you know, it's just, that's something that I've kind of kept out of my mind. I've looked at, I know some putters that are good, and I think, you know, I think what they're seeing is a lot of younger players using it.
Sure.
And I think that's what the red flag is. I think it really kind of started out in the senior tour, and
Sure.
they were dabbling.
Yeah.
Now it bled back down into the
And I can
PGA tour,
understand.
now it's going lower.
Right.
And, you know, it is the anchoring thing, and, you know, they just need to really make their mind up one way or the other, probably. And I think, you know, maybe like the ball and the shafts and the equipment, now the long putters, everything's got away, and now they're going to, it's hard reeling it back in.
Yeah,
And,
they've got
you
let
know,
the cat out of the bag a
yeah,
little bit.
and
pull
you know,
it back
I'm
in,
sure
yeah.
there's a lot of, you know, I'm sure that it's, I would imagine it's a financial decision at some point too, because these companies are manufacturing, making a ton of dough on the balls
Sure.
and the clubs, maybe a little less on the putters. So that might be the easiest way to take the first step in.
Now
I mean,
the-
I don't know. There's a
right.
lot.
Now the PGA and the USGA have always, you know, and both bodies are different. People don't
Right.
maybe understand that, the USGA and the PGA. But the PGA will take what the USGA says and will take that lead there. Should there be two sets of rules here for the professional golfers in terms of anchor putters and for the amateurs? Does that make sense? I know they've talked about that and everything else.
I just, you know, I think it would be easier if there was just one set of rules. That's just me.
Sure.
I mean, then everybody's just doing the same thing,
Yeah.
right? And it just
With the
seems like it would be
handicap
easier. I
system
mean,
and
yeah, I mean,
equalizing it out that way.
you know, it's hard to start. I think it's just hard to change the rules halfway. In some, well, you know, in some things, this being one of them. I mean, everybody's played up to this point this way,
Right.
and all the rules and records and everything are this way. Now
Sure.
we're going to flip over. They're going to have to asterisk them or whatever on that end. But you know, the other thing too, I don't think that anybody statistic-wise, the top 5 guys are not belly putters or long putters.
No.
I don't think
No.
anybody in the top 10 is in the statistics
No.
from what I hear, or
In
maybe
fact, Martin
rules in and
Laird
out.
won last week
Right.
at the Valero Texas Open. He has a long putter,
Right.
and he's the first one who's won in 2013 with a long
Yeah.
putter. And
So you
it's
know,
a-
I just, you know, it's interesting to see. I mean, you know, I feel bad for the guys who do it.
is
and
it
it
much
gets
to do
taken
about
away.
nothing and just say let
Well,
it go?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's obviously guys out there making a living using it.
Sure.
So, you know, I don't. You know.
Well, it's interesting because I know
It's-
I have
it's-
guys
it's-
who Bomber uses an anchored putter.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, so I know he would probably not want
Right.
to get rid of his anchored putter. I don't,
Yeah.
so I don't really care one way or the other.
Right.
I think that you know ultimately they'll do what's best for the game of golf going forward and dealing with that. So you know we'll get back. We're going to talk about the youth golf, which is where I think the tour needs to go, or
Right.
where golf needs to go. get these young kids to play the game of golf and make them feel an awful lot. Great announcement from the USGA Augusta National and the PGA Championship teaming up for a drive, chip, and putt championship. We'll talk about that and the youth golf and hopefully wrap it all up. You're listening to the Wicked Good Golf Show here on Charter TV 3. We'll be back in a moment.
I tee it up and take a swing and then, can I get another mulligan? Get up, get up, get up.